We are live today. So yeah, the slideshow will be, and then I will be. You won't be actually in the photo. Okay.
Your sister Teresa's out of town. She just came back today.
Okay. So I want to show us a little slideshow as we get going. Maybe you could sit right there. You can see because it's a little bit long. So you see, we're going to go over how the golden mean ratio, rectangle, and the Fibonacci series are everywhere in our life. Everywhere. Everything you see, every part of your body is to this ratio. Every plant, everything natural, even buildings that are built to proportion, or just the builder naturally didn't even know about this, just by chance builds it this way. We're going to see examples of this. So this is just my finger like this, and this is what we're going to draw today, several different ways. It's the golden mean ratio spiral, right? The rectangle. Does that look familiar to everybody? That spiral?
Okay, that spiral, that
Yeah.
extra little.
Yeah.
You know, I tend to put that when I'm writing in cursive.
See? So you're
like
going to
some of
see.
the letters
Yeah.
and shit.
So the number is 1.618. That is the magic number called phi, which is the golden mean ratio. So what is it? 1.618. I'm going to ask you again and again because we want this to go to memory. So the Fibonacci.
How does that relate with pi? The 3.14.
We won't go into that today, but we'll go into how the Fibonacci series. So I want you to write this Fibonacci series. It's so easy. Okay, Fibonacci series is you start with 0. You're going to make this list right here, and then you go to 1. What's 1 plus 0?
1.
1. So then you'd write 1 again. Actually, it's 0, 1, 1.
0 plus 1 equals 1.
Okay, and then it's 1 plus 1 because you got actually 2 ones. I left it off here. So let's say there's another 1 underneath. Make one more 1 because 1 plus 0 is 1. And then you're going to do 1 plus 1 equals 2. And then 2 plus 1 equals 3. So what you're doing is you're making the Fibonacci sequence. And you just keep adding the 2 numbers before to get the next number. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 3 is what? 8. Let's go all the way down to 21 at least. That's how it is on here.
So 1 and 1 is 2.
No.
Well,
1 plus 2 is, yep. And then you got 2 plus 1. So you keep adding the 2 numbers ahead of it.
Gotcha.
Make room for sparkles right there. Three plus 5 is, well, you're on 5. Nope. Oh, you're just numbering them?
Yeah, I know how you have it there.
Nope.
Oh.
See, I just have what the actual sequence number is by adding the 2 numbers ahead of it to get the next one. So does that make sense? That goes on for infinity.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's the Fibonacci sequence. So what is that?
Fibonacci
Fibonacci sequence.
Right, and so if you didn't have this in front of you, how would you do it? We just did it. So just to, describe to me how you did that.
Just add like 0 plus 1 is 1, and then you just keep going with the next one. So
and then 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 1 plus 2.
It's 3. So it actually, it bumps the next. It's like I know what you mean. So
we're going to see how this is in nature.
Yeah. Starting from 1 and 0.
Yeah.
You're moving up. So
come on in. So it goes all the way on through infinity. And so this Fibonacci sequence, welcome Archie, you're right on time. We just started. This Fibonacci sequence is like so close to the golden mean ratio, which we're going to see.
This is cool.
Okay. So, and we have a paper for you, Marg, for drawing right here. So do you know about the Fibonacci sequence?
A little.
Okay, so we just started. all it is you start with 0 and you add 1 to it. So that would be 1. And I'm actually missing one right here. It should say 1 plus 1 is 2. And then you keep adding the numbers ahead of it. 2 plus 3 is, or 2 plus 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. 8 plus 13 is 21, and on and on and on and on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So just write a couple of those just so you got it in your awareness. And then I'm gonna go to the next slide. So the way we're gonna see how this, you're still gonna see the same thing, Marge. The way we're gonna start to see how this is gonna equal one, what was that phi ratio number, which also means golden mean? 1.18. We're gonna start to see when you divide 8 by 5, it's 1.6. When you divide 13 by 8, it's 1.625, and so on. 21 divided by 13. So I'm just taking these numbers and creating a ratio, which is the larger number on top, and you divide it by the smaller number.
Dividing instead of adding.
So we just start to see that this list of numbers called the Fibonacci sequence, when you create a ratio from them by putting the large number on top of the small number in sequence, they literally start to get closer and closer and closer to phi. Do you see that number?
Yeah.
Phi
Who
ratio?
determined phi?
The Greeks. But we're going to see how it's
Okay.
everywhere. So
Okay. Yeah, I
just-
didn't do that.
That's fine. So let's just on the side over here, put 8 divided by 5 equals 1.6. Just so you can see that when we are saying getting a ratio, we're taking a large number dividing by a smaller number in our formula here, and it gives us 1.6, which is very close to phi. Let's say it together. Phi, which also equals, what does it equal? 1.618, also called the golden mean ratio. Okay, so all of these things are going to start to come together as I keep going.
So the second one there, is that 13?
It's the number 13 divided by 8.
So are you
13
doing
divided by
this?
8. Yep, I just took 13 divided by 8, 21 divided by 13. I started seeing how it was all the same.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
You don't.
No, I
not-
went down thinking it was
Yeah,
that way.
not the fourth, not.
No,
I did the same thing.
yeah.
See,
I
I
thought
had
we
to
were-
scratch it out.
Is it another way to
And you
add
put
it
a
like,
5,
all right,
is
starting
that?
from 0?
Because
Of course,
when you, 1 and
2.
2
Mhm.
equals,
Can you do it in
2 and 3
Absolutely.
equals 5,
like graph?
right?
Okay.
3 and 5 equals
So
8.
you're gonna love this.
5 and 8 equals 13.
I'm gonna, you'll
I've
get,
seen it.
yeah, you'll get this slideshow. Okay, ready? So when the golden mean ratio rectangle is that spiral drawn in a rectangle form. And we see that when we start at Planck point right in the middle there, that smallest point, it's 1, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, and so on. And we start to see even within the golden mean ratio, when you draw little squares, you literally start to get the dimensions of the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, so I'm just going to keep kind of weaving this all together.
Okay.
We can see in trees that if you looked at the top branches and you've got 1, when they split at the very top, there's usually 2, 1 and 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5. And you see how even your trees are all growing in Fibonacci sequence. Everything is growing in these sequences I'm going to show that we're looking at right now. Is that phenomenal? I mean, it's just like, what?
And even if you was to go back to the previous slide, that's twirl is actually used in like staircasing. If you ever
Everything.
go up the
Yeah.
stairs, it start little and it gets.
We're going to see that right here. Okay. So now we're not going to get too complex. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, we're doing algebra, this whole hour. We're not, but we are going to do at least a couple. Okay. So we're looking at, to make room for Heather.
I can scoot on it.
And I'll move some stuff. So let's slide that chair over here. Hi, Heather. Actually, we have 2 more. Join the party. We got notebooks.
Okay, good.
Let's bring Chris Rose could probably sit right there. Yeah. And then get your notebook and a ruler.
Maybe we could just move the elephant.
We can move the elephant. We're gonna move you.
I love elephants.
It's blue. It's gotta be blue, right?
Hello.
I love it. Here you go. Hi.
Oh, bring the blue one up.
So we're gonna have. Hi. You're probably gonna have to give up your seat.
Okay.
Welcome.
I'll just go on my back room.
You're still gonna join us. Okay, so you have this. Hi, Chris. What else do we have here?
I can sit here, that way these guys can sit next to each other.
Is there,
You want us to scoot down?
you guys wanna be next to each other?
Yes, okay, yeah.
You could scoot down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or play musical chairs.
Alright, thank
So you got there, and then one right here.
Okay.
I'm Elasa, hi. Hi. Okay. So, we're going over the Fibonacci sequence. Does everybody here who's just joined know the Fibonacci sequence? No? It's so easy.
Wait, before you get started, do you need anything or anything, anybody?
And you want water or tea? Water.
I'll take more water, please. I'm almost done with mine.
Okay. Yeah, so we just started. This is the Fibonacci sequence. When you take 0, go straight into the middle. When you take 0 and you add 1 to it, what is that? What's 0 plus 1? 1. And then you take 1 and you add 1 to it. 2. So write that sequence in. You're going to start writing 1 and then 2. And then when you add 1 and 2, what does that equal? 3. And when you keep taking the 2 numbers ahead of it and adding them together. So you got 0, then 1, and then 1 again, because you go 0 plus 1 is 1, and then 1 plus 1 is 2. I'll show you.
2 plus 1 equals 3.
And then 3 plus 2 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8.
So it becomes an exponential thing.
Is it?
So then it's 3 plus 2. The 2 numbers ahead of it equals 5.
More sense.
And then 5 plus 8 is 13.
Was Fibonacci the person that discovered it? Or
Yes. So I just want you to get the realization that you could actually write the Fibonacci sequence onto infinity with this process.
that would be a meditative technique.
13 plus 21 is 34, and so on. Do you get the idea though?
Yes.
Like if you're on a
Yes.
mountaintop and you don't have this, you have rocks in front of you. Or you just your beautiful brain, you can see that this is the Fibonacci sequence when I see that. So what is it?
1.61.
Not that yet. Well, so the Fibonacci sequence is this. That's what we're doing right now. Okay. So this next thing is that when you take, let's say 5/3, when you start making a ratio from the Fibonacci sequence, or my example was 8/5. I took 8 and divided it by 5 of it. It equals 1.6. When I did 13 divided by 8, it was 1.625. So it's starting to wiggle into 1.618, which is what another number we're going to talk about today, which is the golden mean ratio. Okay, so the Fibonacci sequence is very closely related. They run parallel to each other in the creation of reality with the golden mean ratio, also called phi. Okay, the Greek letter phi. Okay, this is the golden mean ratio spiral. It's a rectangle to spiral. You see it all over, and we're going to see how it literally is everywhere.
So what I don't get about that is the boxes, how are they odd numbers? Because wouldn't a box usually need to be?
So they're starting at the beginning of the spin, at the Planck length point, that little point, that finite quanta point in the middle. there's a little square, you can't see it, it's a 1. And then it has a 1 next to it. And that's how we're getting 1 + 1 = 2, the second or third square. And then it's 2 + 3 is 5 in the second. And so it keeps going, just showing how we're overlaying, even in the golden mean spiral. Just like I said, we're seeing how the Fibonacci sequence literally is within this golden mean ratio. And it's going to make more sense as I keep sliding. Okay. So this is a tree. And we can see at the top of the tree, we've got 2 branches. So as the tree at the very top, 1 and 1 = 2, and then 2 + 3 = 5. And it's showing you that even trees are all growing in the Fibonacci sequence, right? Everything is, we're going to see in a minute. But it's a great example when we're looking at the Fibonacci sequence that we just wrote out, just how easy it is to see in trees. And that's a great experiment for us as inner child to do with our children as well, just to show, like, look at this branch, and, like, you know, map it out about how simple this whole reality is. But we've missed this key in teaching ourselves, which is why this is such an important thing we're doing today. So the golden mean rectangle, where we saw that spiral, is what we're going to learn how to draw today. And we're also going to see how, just like that Fibonacci sequence that we just wrote out, the golden mean ratio of using this formula called A divided by B. This length right here is A, this smaller length is B. So A divided by B = 1.618. So that is phi. Again, phi you're going to hear interchanged with golden mean ratio, or phi when you're out in the world and you're like, well, is that the same? Yeah, it's the same thing.
What does phi mean?
It's a Greek letter.
Is it like?
Which letter is it?
Because it's like
Alpha.
I've
Alpha,
heard, like,
beta, gamma,
yeah,
delta.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know where the phi's at.
It's down there. But we see that 1.618 is phi. Okay, so what is it, everybody? Phi? 1.618. And we see that with the Fibonacci series, when we divided the larger number, divide this next number, or the smaller number that was ahead of it, it also starts wiggling out to be 1.618. Okay, so that's how they're writing parallel to each other. Okay.
Let me ask you something else.
Yeah.
That pi, is that similar to, like, when people talk about pi day? Like,
Not pi.
Okay.
And so she asked that earlier. So we're not doing pi today, but there is connection to pi. This is phi.
Phi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this rectangle is called the golden mean ratio rectangle. Okay. And they get that number of phi when you're looking at, you know, numbers, by dividing this longer side, which is termed A, by B. There's also another equation you could do. You could do A plus B divided by A, but we're going to stay simple today. A divided by B. Okay. So this is that rectangle again. I'm just trying to weave in some pictures into us so we can go, oh, wait. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere. So I thought this was cool. I worked with a teenager yesterday. He was blown away by this. And that's my goal, is to get this out to the children. But we're children as well. You know, we need to, like, get this building block ourselves. So 1 is A, 0.618 is B. So even, like, it's proportioned with its ratio number of 1.618, 1 and 0.618. Isn't that pretty cool?
It is.
So, like, it was cool to me. Okay, here we go. We just went over that. Okay, so now I'm just going to get some pictures. This is what I really wanted to get to. So you can start seeing this golden mean ratio rectangle spiral is everywhere. We've got it. Everything you're going to see, the way every limb is growing, the way your hair is twirling, like, everything is following this golden mean ratio. There's nothing that's not. Every tornado, every hurricane, every shell, every fruit and vegetable, like literally the pineapple, when you look at those little dots, the spores on the potatoes are golden, you know, are literally, you can map out the golden mean ratio spiral. You could lay down on the ground and watch the clouds. They literally will spiral. They'll flow in the golden mean ratio. Everything is moving in this way. Okay. Then you start looking at buildings, and if you know, like I was saying earlier, sometimes the architect had no idea that it was building within the golden mean ratio, just because our natural movement in space, we naturally create in this way. But here's the Parthenon with it over top. Here's a rose. This rose, what am I thinking of you? Here's the solar system. All the planets are rotating in this way. Hurricanes are fun to look at. You can even overlay on top of cities and see if they're proportional. Meaning when things are proportional, you want to look at it. We want to look at our, everything around us that is in this proportion, we naturally draw to it. Do you know why?
It resonates at the same frequency that we do.
Yes. And our soul, becoming ensouled, we don't necessarily become ensouled by going away from the avatar, the body. We come towards middle, right? We come towards midline. So we're coming towards midline. Our whole soul moves this way. And when it feels other things that are in unison, it literally self-organizes at your top of your pineal gland, and your perception, which is consciousness, literally can focus better on things that are in proportion. So we start to see like, okay, like your cat, like you overlay it on top of your cat, you might start becoming, nerdy like me in the sense where you're taking this spiral and you're overlaying everything, all your pictures to see how it's coming out. Here's someone's face, the ear.
So,
Yeah.
So are there things where it's purposely not done like TV or like
To distort?
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. Maybe unconsciously, And sometimes it's used consciously to control, like a lot of the sigils, a lot of the logos and, billboards, or not billboards, but logos really are using sacred geometry and sacred proportion to get you to stay on it, like, hey, go to, Texaco gas station.
So is there a balance? Like if you ever come to an unstable foundation, you can use that measurement to get the
Yes,
balance,
that's what we're going to talk about.
To build like a building off the structure or something.
Yes.
Like if I'm on a house on the hill, but the hill's at an angle, I can use that graph.
Yes.
To know where to plant and come flush.
Yeah.
Plumb with the level.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about with our house, how important this is. This is where, and the sweet spot is plonk, that where it's spiraling into, that's a wormhole. So with this overlaying our pineal gland, it shows like the wormhole is at our pineal gland. When we start ensouling and we literally start becoming, like when you meditate and you're breathing up your spine, 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down, and you got your eyes slightly turned up looking at the pineal gland, you literally are gathering your soul and all your plasma to that focus. And you can go through the wormhole to your vision, your blueprint. You literally can jump higher planes of existences because you're focusing and going into this sweet spot. So that's so good. Okay. So here's just the body map. We're going to do our arm in a minute. But we're going to see how our whole body is built to proportion, except my husband. So if you watch any of Robert Grant's magic of, squaring the circle and looking, or squaring the circle, I guess the Vitruvian Man, where he overlays this on top of the Great Pyramid, he found like that missing piece, if you know the story of Osiris and Isis, where Osiris gets cut into 14 pieces and they never find the lingam, they never find his private part, and they're missing that 1/14 piece. And it's part of like also the DNA manipulation. It's like missing that small piece of 1/14. Anyways, my husband's arm length has the 1/14. So your arm length should be the same as your height. It has the extra 14th. So we were laughing yesterday, like,
What does that mean?
it means he's in a different proportion.
Yeah.
He's in a higher, just a whole different beyond human proportion, which he's definitely beyond human.
How about Aaliyah?
She's got that too. You can totally tell.
So he an angelic being?
Yes. Like you. Right? Yeah. Okay. You guys look alike, so I recognize you. So the arms that we're going to draw from elbow to wrist and then wrist to middle finger, we're going to see that just like all these other proportions has typically, most likely, that 1.618 ratio. Okay, so we're going to draw. This is from Dan Winter's work, who's inspiring me so much, and I hope he inspires you guys as well. But his work is really showing another formula that we might have time to go into today, which is the formula of gravity consciousness itself being ensouled. And it utilizes the golden mean ratios in integers times Planck length. So that finite point, you times it times the golden mean ratio in integers. So as it goes up, to the 1, to the 1.618 to the 1, 1.68 to the 2, 1.68 to the 3. Those ratios we're also seeing in all the precession of the equinox, the Schumann resonance, how you travel up your central channel when you're having Kundalini rise. Everybody here, or anybody here have your Kundalini rise, where you feel like a squeezing? You might have a headache some days, or it just like squeezes. You might feel really cold.
No, but I have those dizzy episodes. I get up in the morning. It does feel like I'm rolling in a spiral.
Okay.
Or even this
Yep.
way, so,
Do you dream? Do you remember your dreams?
I try not to.
Okay, we'll work through those. And are you able to see like that vortex vortexing when you're closing your eyes?
I looked it up. It's important to sit for at least 5 minutes before just bouncing out of bed. So to let the blood circulate, lean forward a little bit, and the blood that I was laying down, the same course in my body will push forward, so I have complete balance.
Yeah, well, but I'd like to work with you, and I'll tell you about what I mean in a minute. So this is just a slide with when you see this, I'm going to send it to everybody that you can see all the different things that are also again in this formula when we times the golden mean ratio, integers times Planck. And here's this formula we're going to work with our arm. This is with my finger, just showing it overlaid the rectangle over my finger. But here's the arm exercise. So the reason you have a ruler today is so you're partnering up, and you can partner and have your partner measure from your elbow to your wrist crease. Okay, so like measuring the tip of the elbow to the wrist crease, and then the wrist crease to the tip of the middle finger. And when we divide the length of the arm and divide it by the length from the wrist to the middle finger, we should get 1.618. So let's go ahead and do that.
I like that one's kind of hairy.
I like that the tricep leg hangs down like that. Like a little bit like
Hairy and flabby.
So you might have to have your elbow bend. You're good. Okay.
I used to box.
Okay.
So the wrist to the elbow.
So it's from the elbow to the wrist?
Yeah.
You want me to do?
first.
So elbow to this middle.
So you can do inches or centimeters. It's going to give you the same ratio. Just pick one. Although Dan would probably say that
9 inches.
feet is more sacred.
9 inches.
10.
9 inches.
Okay, 9 inches. Let's
What's
write
the
it
next
down.
measurement after the elbow?
9.
Wrist to the middle finger.
Wrist to the middle.
So, and then you divide the bigger number by the smaller.
Okay.
Divide the bigger number by the smaller.
Yeah. And it's not what I found with working with this with a friend yesterday is that because I wasn't making it real exact.
I got 1.42. That's weird. Did I mismeasure maybe? Do we measure from like this part or this part?
I'm doing my measurement.
It's probably this part.
Okay.
Probably
That's what I did
longer.
too. All right.
So I got 1 point.
So it's the big
5.
one divided into the small one.
Mhm.
So I got like 1/7.
I got
11.
divided into
Well,
it should be
11.
the small one.
Let me do your hands. Hold it up. I
Because you
got
got 1 point something. But still I got 1.4.
okay, you had 10.
Here, let me try a centimeter since you can't get that.
10 in the
Maybe I
back.
messed it up.
Yeah, about 1.5, 1.6.
Yeah. And that's what we should see.
11.
Oh, 1.5.
Are we measuring this?
So wait,
That last
okay,
one?
here's,
Okay. hold
so
it.
the formula is,
Okay, well then with the
Yeah,
7,
I
she
said 9 with you.
what if you try doing A plus B divided by B? See if that comes closer, that second formula. A plus B, A plus B divided by B.
Is A the longer?
Just say 11.
Or is A the shorter?
A's is shorter,
A is the shorter.
yeah,
Okay.
divided by B. That comes a little closer for me.
What's 10
Yeah.
divided by 6?
There we go, you got 1.6.
So 17 divided by
2.42, that's starting.
So it would be, what's your measurements?
10 and a 7.
Yes, it's 17 divided by 10.
Darn, didn't
1.666.
Should be close.
Okay,
Yeah,
now you-
1.7.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
do your
All right.
wrist to your middle.
That was good. Okay, so
I got
mine.
1.125.
All right, so elbow to
Yeah.
this.
You're an alien.
Like,
Increase.
So try,
Middle
7.5.
7.5.
so try doing
11.
A plus B, which would be your whole length, your divided by B, which would be the elbow to the wrist.
We got 1.666, 1.4.
What does that number say?
2.
But you know the
So,
measurements.
would you be able to like walk us through
Did I
this?
do it backwards?
You're
I
trying
did.
to get it
Sorry.
No, I'm not trying
Well,
to.
2 minus 12 would be 10.
Teacher's
So I
pet.
was thinking it looks like it's a 10.
I got
We all are.
1.88.
We all
We got
are.
11,
We
we got,
Should be a 7.
let's say 8. Let's say 19 divided by 11, what do you get?
So 19
Oh, you're supposed to add them in there?
divided by
Divided by 11.
11.
That's
So
close,
seven-
That's
yeah,
close?
yeah.
Okay.
And I was
Right,
rounding
seven.
up.
It's right there. If I went down to
Or
where the crease
So
is.
mine was
Hey, what's going on?
You're at a 7.
16 divided by 10. Oh, still.
The same thing.
So, everybody
should it
getting
be?
close to 1.618?
No, I got 1.888.
That's close, because again, we're not being exact,
I
the
got
measurements,
1.6, yeah.
but everybody got close to 1.618.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing your own proportion. You could do the next exercise would be from middle finger to elbow and then elbow to shoulder. And that, your longer would be this one and the shorter would be this one. So if we're using that second formula, I don't know why it's not working with our, because it gave us 2 formulas, B over A or A plus B divided by B. But the second formula of A plus B divided by B seems giving all of us 1.618 close, right? Does that make sense?
I mean, it could be just depending where
Yeah.
exactly you
Yeah.
measure, you know.
The anatomical exact position.
Yeah.
I don't know those things yet. But how cool, are we seeing it?
Mhm.
So our whole body is in this divine proportion. How was yours? What number?
It came out to the 1.66.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So like what if our measurements equal one of these equinox numbers, right? Our measurements will get closer to the,
Yeah,
okay.
see,
Oh, yeah.
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 So now your brain's thinking like the overlay of Fibonacci series with golden mean ratio. And as we get deeper into the build out of creation, we're seeing how it really becomes close. Okay, so let me keep going. So the next thing I want to talk about is our house and building a divine proportion and doing little fixes with our sacred space. Because ultimately what's happening when things are in divine proportion, they can become the energy in the room and the field and your body, your aura, your soul, like the energy at large can self-organize. That's for looking at the torus of our soul, the soul that we are. When our proportions are divine, we naturally can draw in like a tornado our essence into the top of the central channel, and it spirals in and compresses and organizes itself into a ensouled being. Now, if I'm way fractured out, I don't know who I am. I don't necessarily even know how to take a deep breath up my spine. I don't know how to focus because of X, Y, and Z. It may be part of your practice to come out of the dizzy spell by doing some deep breathing and focusing on the pineal gland and calling your essence back, centripetal to middle, centripetal means draw to center, to call your essence back out of anywhere that it doesn't need to be. You know, and then we talked about several weeks now, where are those places where we don't need to be bound, you know? So I'll just add this in because we're weaving it into our divine sacred space, that as you become bigger than the body, as your soul becomes larger from just being a soul packet of 6 feet across, or 3 feet this way, 3 feet this way, and you start expanding into the whole reality, you become longitudinally connected to the array of existence. You literally become the longitudinal array or bliss itself. So you can have effects on everything. But what I want to get to is that when your house is in divine proportion as well, it's going to help you have better night's sleep, etc. So I want us to look at, you know, an idea of our house being in divine proportion, some quick fixes we could do, like place anchors in places. The reason why I'm so adamant about us getting our bedroom or how we like it, if we do sleep inside. Not everybody sleeps outside. Some people, myself included, have had many times where I'm guided to go sleep outside and, you know, do my reorganization of self out of these boxes. But anyways, as well as finding the sweet spot, that small spot where the spiral is, where does it land? Here it lands at that doorstep or those steps right there. That's a very sacred spot of this house, is that steps. And if I flip the grid and look at the back, it's also the altar in the back room. So very sacred spots are these sweet spots, and you can find them in your house, in your rooms, etc. But okay, so
you did. I'm sorry. So you did the Fibonacci sequence on the blueprint of the house to find
the golden
spiral.
mean. So we're going to draw the golden mean ratio over our house in a minute. So we're switching. Beginning, we started talking about that Fibonacci sequence, only so we can see and not be so like, what are people talking about? If someone was talking big to you, you can actually go, hey, I know what you're talking about. But we're going to really start switching to the golden mean spiral and within that rectangle. Okay. So the golden mean spiral rectangle, I got a download yesterday that I needed to clear a filing cabinet, and I needed to pull it down. So I am in the filing cabinet, it's a box that I was guided to go to. I don't have very much stuff anymore. So I only got one box, you know, like papers. And I was guided to go into it. And I said, you know, consciousness, what do I need to clear? They said, clear out there's 4 things you got to get rid of in there and take it to the fire. And so when I pulled it down, some of those 4 things are the processes that we're going to talk about in the wealth series when we look at our birth certificate, social security card, and understand what's really going on here in the world of maritime law and commerce at large, and how it's holding bindings of our soul essence, keeping us from being so tight and like that we're walking in and we affect everything in the field for the highest good as love, right? So I was guided to go to that box, right? And what's in there, the exact things I knew needed to go. And that's why it's so important that when we get, you know, nudges or we muscle test or we spin the pendulum and say like, something need to be cleared out of here, I have to reorganize something, you know, pay attention to that, because I am the field. So I literally pulled it down. I go on my walk today at Fred Howard, and I'm getting like jabs in my head. I'm like, what is going on? And I come back, and it happened 3 times, and I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. And I come back and I look right at that filing cabinet. It's down, right? I keep it up high. I'm guided to put things in very specific places. Sometimes I got to put them in my trunk. Sometimes I got to put them in a certain, you know, cabinet with a white cloth around it. You name it. So follow your instructions, because you're bigger being, your super intelligence is leading you to heaven on earth. Okay. So I look at
Did
it.
it come down by itself?
No, I pulled it down because I knew I had to work with it. But what was in there affecting my head was those files. So as soon as I took them out and I was like, is this what I was feeling? Yes. And where was it at? It was up high. So if I'm spread out not only in the 6-foot aura, but I'm also spread out and playing with the field of my house, which most of us are, we spend so much time there. And I've got something that was in my larger field of existence up high in a top shelf cabinet that needed to go. I started, because we're beyond time, I started already feeling the need to go ahead and get those 4 files dealt with. And then the head stuff went away. So I'm just adding that in to show you why this stuff is so powerful. And this is just an image of like your bedroom is the most important of the house, okay? Because you sleep there. Your most sacred aspect of existence is when you get out of the avatar and you spread out across the plane when you're in dream time. Like, and then you learn how to walk that way. You know, you learn how to actually be very in the body, super concentrated as the soul that you are, but also longitudinally spread out across the plane of existence when you get in the avatar the day you walk around. But when you lay down in that room, that bedroom, how special of a spaceship that is. It literally is a spaceship that you launch out of motherboard to go into higher places. But this shows in this image just how it says bedroom, house, your property, your neighborhood, your city, your country, the earth, the galaxy, the universe. Like those micro are literally affecting the macro and vice versa.
I believe it because a lot of who I am at home, it starts at home. I bring it wherever I go. If I'm having a rough day at home, of course, you don't see it. Somebody, I'm close to it, a rub off on it, they'll hear about it. So,
Yeah. Okay, so take your paper, you're going to draw a golden means rectangle using your ruler, we call it elevator. And you're going to draw as big as you want. I would say go big so that you can actually realize this is either your bedroom or your house at large. Okay, and so if you have a rectangle house, if you have a square house, we're going to show you fixes. But first, just draw a rectangle and orient the rectangle. You know, how would you look at the house? Is it more wide when you're walking up to it? Or is it like the rectangle turned on its side and more long? Right?
We're drawing our places.
Not yet. We're going to overlay over this rectangle, our house, just to kind of see the sweet spot of the house.
Okay, so what are the proportions again?
So the proportion is, you're gonna be kind of, let me measure this one to give us this proportion, because we're kind of going backwards at a level. So this is 7 by,
Oh, well, it's like 1.618.
Yeah.
Like it's 1 and then 618.
7 and then 4.5. If you want to use this drawing that's on the screen, it's 7 by 4.5 inches. Antoine, you want some water?
Oopsie.
It's all right. There's more paper.
Just use some paper. Paper's already a rectangle.
And so after we do the rectangle, do we go ahead and draw the design of our home from it?
You could. Yeah, why don't you do that? Because then it'll be kind of fun to see where the spiral lands. You could either wait, or if you're, whatever you're guided to do. I'm just gonna,
I have no guidance yet.
Can I see the picture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so then that side is the same ratio of 1 and
That's-
0.618?
Yes.
Okay, just obviously a smaller.
No. Okay,
Overall.
so if this was 1.618, this would be 1.
But that cut right there is the same. This line here, that would be 1 and.
Yeah, they're all
0.618,
little
right?
rectangles
Okay.
within rectangle
Okay.
within rectangle.
That's what I figured, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask before I.
So your house is like, it's centered, and everybody else around here is really, so yours is like really.
So we're gonna weave in some black hat feng shui, which I have been working with for most of this lifetime. And if your home is not a whose home is not a rectangle. I mean, it's not every home is a rectangle.
Well, I'm assuming that actually if I just go even out, including the pool
Yeah,
that's fenced
there you go.
in, then my house is a square.
And that would be considered an anchor. So you're anchoring it to make it a rectangle.
Oh, well, I guess maybe if I included the stairwell
You could.
of the apartment building.
You could, that would be your anchor.
I don't know.
Rectangle, kind of rectangle, but it comes out to on the side.
And this is the house. I mean, you could do the land, you could do each bed, each room.
Yeah.
You could do your bedroom if you don't want to focus on your house. You can make, this rectangle focus in on the bedroom.
We capture.
So what made you put it there?
You want us to capture?
You can. I want to show this next step though,
0.618 of this side.
but I have to see everybody's
Okay.
rectangle
And
done.
is this 2 rooms in your house?
No,
Is
this
everyone-
is just the box.
Is everyone done the rectangle so far?
Yes.
Okay, so this next part is working with the star. So you, to be able to get the proportions of how to actually draw this spiral and where to put it, let's say we didn't have a ruler. It's literally by drawing from bottom corner to top, opposite, diagonally, you draw a line. This is just an exercise I've done with the kids and they love it. So you draw it all the way, yep. And then your next line, once you guys are done, look up, because it's kind of hidden. So you go diagonal and then you go down the edge. Diagonal down the edge, and then you go up about a third of the way. So if this was in thirds, so you go diagonal down and a third. So if this was a third, and then once you do that one, you're gonna go down again, over, down again.
Okay. So
You see it?
Yeah, and then over that way.
Now look at it.
So I went down.
So over here, up, down, over, or wait, up this way. Sorry, I messed you up. Down and then over here, a third of the way. So you keep kind of making that diagonal like to create a new rectangle. That would be like a third of the long side.
Sure, I have this picture in my texts from you somewhere. Okay. So I need to do this one. Okay, got it.
And this part is not the actual thing that we have, like this is most important. This is just an extra little.
So you had us come down.
Yep. And then you're gonna go over to a third.
Oh, another third.
So you keep making rectangles
there you
within rectangles.
And then I
That-
went to a third like that again.
See, wait, and then when you got that one, you go, let's
Down.
see, down.
Over this way. And then, yeah, I'm right here. And then I went down. And then I go up here.
It must have been,
So I'm right here. And then I went over right there. And then I went down.
and then,
What, and it over and then down?
uh-uh.
Going back that way.
Yeah, and then
Back
down
down.
right here, and then up, and then,
Okay, so over and then this way.
Back down.
Okay.
you keep making rectangles and triangles. Once you, just looking at this image, once you see where the approximation of that center point is, you can start here at Planck and draw a spiral riding the edge of this rectangle so that you get all the way over here. So you can get your spiral drawn. So again, you would start at the very, if you went this whole exercise, you were able to figure it out, awesome. If not, at least approximate and start drawing your spiral right about here, and then ride the edge of the big rectangle all the way to the far corner to make your spiral.
Start right there.
Okay.
You might want to use a different color if you want. So just go approximate now. Here, I'm gonna leave it there for you.
I'm fine. I'm a little off. I
You got it right there.
Just about-
And you go,
Yeah.
And then when that
Yeah.
So then
way,
from here, am I looking within?
you're right here. and
so
you go,
let's
So I'm gonna be within this area.
Yes, right there.
Okay, so from here,
I could do another one.
That's on that.
little star.
You're gonna get this slideshow, so if it,
I'm staying within the bottom circle though when I do my circle.
Okay, what do I go?
So what it is,
then you're making another small rectangle. Yeah, there you go, you got it.
so you want to make
So it's gonna go.
Kind of in here a
Hugging.
so
little.
it's one more.
It's gonna
It's gonna be
hug
another
in
line.
here,
from-
hug.
Gosh,
So it's
I'm
gonna
not.
be
That's what a
here,
compass is
here.
for.
Oh.
Kind of.
I did go
The
to
compass
the
rules when you get that spiral.
I'll do better than I could. Now I
I
see.
gotta work on that compass.
You are good. You're an artist.
Absolutely.
I would say
all
all
are.
are. Are you an architect?
Can I see that demo?
So just do your best to spiral it out, okay? From the
Oh, okay, I'm doing
approximation
this
of
one
that
here, the third.
sweet spot, hugging. You're gonna hug the larger rectangle. Yep. And then draw your house and find out what is in that sweet spot of your house. If that very center of that spiral, that small point, where does that sit at your house? So draw it as best you can, either your room or your house at large, and see what is there. Most time it's already an altar or something special.
That's good.
Could you push the colors over?
So draw your house like it, like average. If you're gonna do your rooms, try to figure out where your rooms are.
Which one you want to look at the front part right here?
Mm-hmm. So basically, like, what is at the front right of your house? Front right, middle.
Where's supposed to be the sweet spot at?
So is your house more long or is it?
So I'm
like
looking
this?
at property line value, so this,
Okay.
it's kind of like a. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm going with.
And I did this several ways over, different doors that I go in. But try to find what is sitting at that sweet spot at your house.
It's entryway, the
I think I'm
hallway.
missing a little
Hallway.
It's a long hallway to the front, and it's like right there in there.
Is there already like something special right there at whether it's a shelf or
So I had all different type of stuff, but
is it powerful stuff already right there? Yeah. Usually it's already holding some power because what is it?
a boom.
What's a goon?
You don't know a boom?
No.
That's a African deity.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. That's powerful. So that's that sweet spot of like literally wormhole coming in from the unseen world, the spirit world, like coming out. Yeah.
And we can make north and east be anything on here or, I mean, however we start.
Yeah,
However
however
you
you know
go
where to
a
start.
long way, but I think it's okay if I have east as my top.
Absolutely. We're not looking at
Basically my
directions.
question. Okay.
It's more of like, where do you first look at the orientation? Is it gonna be long or is it gonna be narrow? And where's your sweet spot?
Where my hand my desk is.
And see, it's right there.
Oh,
I would say that probably right here is where I put my sleep crystal grid.
see?
What'd you say?
My sleep crystal grid, but it's not working that well.
My spot is where I put a rebound.
Kitchen would be
Ooh.
But it's the corner of that pool area, really.
And then in my
On the
apartment,
wall.
my altar, when I look at it from how my apartment was set up, my altar was set up right there, like in that spiral point.
It was,
Mhm.
where is it now?
I
Are you
moved.
moving?
I already moved.
What, where are you, what, is it set up now, your new spot?
I don't have a new spot.
You don't? So you're earth homing it.
Mhm.
Fun. That's a good activation.
Mhm. Oh, and I want to talk to you about Merkaba activation too.
Yeah.
Sometime soon.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's been coming out for meditation for me.
To do that,
Yes. And then that's a sacred geometry too, right?
so your Merkaba, your light body also works with that for traveling. I mean, the aura itself can travel without that, but when you're looking at the geometries of the aura, and you're looking at a tetrahedron here, and then it kind of crosses, so there's two tetrahedrons, one's pointing down, one pointing up. And the top will spin one way for men and one way for the other for women. But you can also, my quick fix for that when I don't know it, or for someone who doesn't know, is say, my super intelligence, spin my Merkaba exactly how it needs to spin.
Right.
Or like show me or
Like
tell
my
me.
higher self.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been coming to me that I need to do some meditations with that or something. But
Cool. Okay.
So you've been to the vortexes in America?
Some of them, like Sedona and North Carolina, and, yeah.
We got one in top of Florida, Georgia.
Where is it?
I seen, when I looked it up, it was right there on the top of Florida going into Georgia border.
Like near Tallahassee or?
No, it was going on this side towards the dam,
Okay.
west, going
Yeah.
west.
And that's a fun thing we started doing, is going around town and like pendulum
in Mississippi. Look at the map.
and finding the ley lines here in the vortices where the ley lines cross. We did 2 assignments past couple weeks, but they're everywhere, you know? So there's a big ley line that goes right through the center at an angle, and the Theraphi's literally laying right on it. So did everybody find their sweet spot? And is what is there is like already somewhat powerful to you? What is yours?
Mine's, I mean, the room is my office, but it's probably my altar that's like behind my desk against that wall, right? Because then behind that would be like the living room. And then on the second floor, because my house is 2 levels, so that same spot kind of vertically up would be. Where would that be? I'll have to think about that. I have to like figure out the floor plan of what fits.
And if you have
That's
2
the
doors
patio.
that you use, like I use the back door
For me and my son.
of this
sit there
building
and drink our
sometimes, so I
coffee
even
and-
overlaid it the other way to see where the
So
sweet
you
spot
walk in.
back there is, and it's at an altar.
There.
You did it like.
Oh,
this.
so that sweet
Yeah.
spot
Is
is
the
the
house
altar
more like-
spot?
It
That
can
was
be.
This though?
It's just realizing that's
I'm
a
looking
power
at it
spot.
from
in your
walking up
house.
So
But I could also swing it into that inside corner, because that's a living room, family room.
And using your pendulum, checking it when you go home today and like.
That's what I was gonna ask, is like, how do we, because without getting completely architecturally geeky, like you said, get my blueprints and like, then like sit here and like measure all this out, like where exactly, and then find out like it's a wall, or something like that. Then
Right.
what do I do? Yeah.
Visualize
It
it.
depends
Right.
on where you set
But
it.
sometimes, yeah.
Let's
Maybe
see
it's
where
the heck, you
that
can visualize
sweet
things,
spot
you can feel
is.
it, you know what I mean?
So you can pendulum for your sweet spot in your place.
Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right
that
there,
major
spinning.
vortex right there.
Yours was
That's a
upstairs.
funny little crochet.
I was just
pendulum.
gonna say, is
You
there
know,
a
I was
crystal
looking around
inside
the
it?
room, I found it in the room, sure you have it in there. Right there, underneath the sink, you see the
That's a
spiral? Okay.
it's got a funny name, triscus, it's like a triple spiral.
Oh.
It's great for water, like to clear the, make the water. Structure of the water. So we can do that another time to make some copper. Okay, everybody getting that so far? Let me see what else I got, and then we'll probably, what time are we? We're almost, okay. So now that we have that understanding of phi, which is what? .618, okay, and it goes on. We will move to a definition of PLANKPHIRE formula, which is phi 1.618 at integers times Planck length, the finite point of Planck, which is also, we're looking at like quanta finite point. There's an adamantine particle that was discovered. There's going to be different names from different scientists. But with Dan Winter's formula of Planck length, which is 10 to the negative 35 in meters times phi 1.618 to the n, meaning you can, his first real, not first, I don't know if it was first, but one of his main discoveries when he was figuring out this formula was the hydrogen atom. And he actually was able to see that when he looked at the 3 radii of hydrogen, he found that they actually exactly fit this Planck times phi. And the first radii of hydrogen was phi to the 116. The next radii was phi to the 117. The next phi was phi to the 118. So that means that the hydrogen atom is able to literally compress, self-organize itself, and collapse itself, charge collapse into its own center. And so it's that perfected compressibility that our aura does. You know, we are constantly like compressing back down our central channel at ratios of golden.
How they made the hydrogen bomb?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
what I thought. Like they condensed the hydrogen atom, like they
because
created
it
a
has that
black hole,
compressibility. Yeah,
basically,
right.
Like that's what they did.
Yeah.
Is they created a black hole that then.
Yeah, and this is our black hole. We can look at the fourth energy center as a black hole. We go with the pineal gland as a black hole. That's what I'm saying. When you understand that you are you're working with this most sacred technology right here that literally you can create reality. You always are, but you can become more conscious of it and more spread out about it and actually, you know, see great things for all the children, see great for everyone. It's like you have the ability to see us through, you know, to see us home with the eye of Christ. And so Dan's formula, the PLANKPHIRE formula, we're just going to start weaving a little bit into this, but I just want you to get the idea of phi, and that when you have ratios, integers of phi, meaning if you took this first radius of hydrogen divided by the second one, they would be divisible by phi 1.618. So that makes it a, you know, an integer. So remember that in algebra. So like phi to the 1, phi to the 2, phi to the 3. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's the way our energy centers are also set up. That's the way the Schumann resonance is also set up. Like everything literally is that compressibility of the golden mean ratios, integers.
So where's our Planck? Maybe I said it off. Oh, we're starting.
I mean, it really can be anywhere, but if we're looking at the ability of our kundalini to rise, which
Is it like you could also switch it and then it would be down there? Or
right, when you're thinking about like having a child or, you know, like where are you focusing? That's consciousness itself, is where are we focusing, right? So when we focus in, Planck point can barely be anywhere our focus is.
Okay. We could be cold Planck.
Right, but true, there you go too.
And then with the house thing too, like this is one way, but then we could
flip it,
overlay it, and see what was in the other.
Yes, you can use it all kinds of places or all kinds of directions and actually keep kind of spinning it and see what geometry happens over your house when you actually move it, you know, maybe like every 60 degrees or something like that. Okay, so this formula of PLANKPHIRE, Dan really talks about how important it is when we are evolving ourselves, that we realize that it's affecting when we rise the kundalini and you have an awakening, when you literally do become whole in yourself, whole in your awareness, you're able to rise that energy, not just, you know, firing out your solar plexus, always angry at everybody, or firing out your consumptions, always eating everything and like feeling like that's the only way you're going to survive, or firing it out of fight and flight with like, I'm going to die, you know, like these lower energy centers where you're not able to rise the energy of the soul all the way through the full torus and be aware in that way. the goal would be for you to start doing that and start doing these simple exercises, like focusing your breath to be able to actually get it to integers of ratio of golden mean by, you can do called the Mare wave breath, which is 0.1 hertz. And that is like let's do it together right now. So 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Keep going, but now imagine you're drawing your energy up your spine, squeeze your root, 5 seconds up to your pineal gland, and then 5 seconds out. Let the energy drop down your spine. So now we're adding in pumping our cranial sacral fluid, our spine fluid, 5 seconds up. 5 seconds down. Keep your awareness on your pineal gland. Slightly move your eyes up. Focus in at that inner eyeball. It truly is. It's your plasma vortexing itself at Planck. So inhale up. And exhale down. And we're going to add one more thing. When these three things work together, we have massive power, massive ability. We're inhaling up. Now we're going to imagine our blood running through our body, out our heart, down through all the arteries, all the veins, coming back up to the heart, through the head. And we're going to see that just our awareness, keeping it at the pineal gland, but multitasking and our awareness of our blood, let it fire up. Imagine it's literally creating energy. And this is the Holy Grail, getting your blood to turn back on the way it's meant to be, fully illuminated. And then, Chris Rose, you would add in that Merkaba exercise. You could fly wherever you want to fly, which you already do, but you'll be realizing it even more. Good. And visualize as we complete this exercise, all of that's working together. Your breath, your spinal pump, your blood is illuminated. The Holy Grail is illuminated. Look at the pineal gland and look at your best vision. What do you want for yourself? Is there anything you're needing? You know, visualize it, and we're holding collectively together that vision come true, because it already is. And smile and give thanks. And come out. Okay. This is just a couple more slides. This is a transverse wave to longitudinal. That's what we just did. We became longitudinal. And we're going to complete on that. Any questions?
You say Mary wave breath work?
Mare wave. So the Mare wave is 0.1 hertz. So you're slowing down your breath, right? And then you're becoming more super conscious of your spinal fluid going up and down, which is why cranial sacral therapy is so awesome, that I've been practicing for a lot of years now. And being able to tap in, just, can I touch you? Mm-hmm. Just to tap into someone's cranial sacral rhythm. It self-organizes. My stillness organizes and gives her some assistance with calming and bringing called a still point to her system, and then she's able to really self-organize and come in.
Which we all do with our kids and our animals without realizing it. Like when the kids are crazy and you're like, okay, and then you're just like calm with them, and then like you just watch them. Same thing with my crazy dog, you know.
Yes.
Hands, and he goes.
The cat does it to me.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
The cats are the biggest cranial sacral therapists.
I mean, what about with like a house guest? If you want that person to feel welcome, and you know, I always was told, if you've been in my house longer than 5 minutes, don't ask me for nothing. You get it yourself. So to break that comfort zone, it's that graph measured between interacting with that person within that 5 minutes. Like, can I convince you that you're welcome here within 5 minutes, to where you don't have to ask me to go use my refrigerator?
How would you do that?
I don't know. I mean,
you could get still.
I could
right?
put posties up in the house.
You
More
could get,
squares.
you could get,
Right.
if it were me, I'd get still in the morning, in the rising, and I'd just send their soul like that message. You are totally welcome here. You make yourself at home. And then I would ask for their soul to confirm that they heard me, even if I feel like I'm making it up. And I might imagine their soul smiling. And then I walk out, guess what? They're doing it. Because that's that ability of our souls to communicate in stillness and hear each other.
You get that?
As well as I allow them to do that when I sit with them in meditation that way. I allow them to actually feel comfortable. Because a lot of times we think that, oh, they're not doing it, but we have to also get ahead of it and see that they're doing it. Allow them to do that.
So you're kind of talking about pre-planning it with the penile.
Yes, 5 seconds up, Maurice, 5 seconds down. So
Visualize.
yeah, and visualize so-and-so's soul like at home, at peace. Yeah. So yeah, cats, amazing therapists, cranial sacral therapists, when they go still on you, you're in a still point. If you feel like you need to go touch your child's shoulders, you know, or hug them and really connect heart to heart, you're going to still point. And then you'll feel them. That's what happened with me in the dream last night with you. I held you and held you and held you. And then everything just released.
Maybe that was when I was finally able to go back to sleep or something.
Maybe. What's the next best way to create a still point is literally go get barefoot on the earth and sit and ground. That's another way we can really benefit ourselves and get us in harmony, because the resonance of the earth, 7.38 hertz. With Dan's formula, I think it's 7.29. So it's it's paralleling. But 7.28 hertz from the Schumann resonance, which is every second or minute, don't quote me on this, the number of lightning that's hitting the earth, that's how you're getting the Schumann resonance. But that hertz of 7.38 is the same vibration when you are at alpha state brainwaves. So when you go put your feet on the earth, and like the children the other day, they all have their shoes on, I'm like, well, just okay, let's put our hands on the earth, right? When we put these amazing parts, the feet and the hands, or we sit our bum, or we lean up or lay down on the earth, you are literally syncing up. The same hertz of the earth then syncs up and gets your brain to calm down. Like if you're racing, go put your bare feet on the earth, and your brain will come back to alpha wave 7.2, 3
What about
hertz.
the beach and the sand? Is that the same?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or what about like in the water, in the ocean? Is that the same or that's different?
Well, you're barefooted on the sand in the
Yeah.
ocean.
And the next best thing, when the brain is calm, what's the next best thing we're looking for?
Some ice cream? No.
That's what we did lately.
Visualization.
Well, yeah, adding visualization, but the heart. So that heart and mind coherence, which also Dan Winter's coined, it's his word that he coined in science. Heart and mind coherence. When your heart, like the reason we do the easy button here through the years is putting our palm chakras to our high energy heart. You literally, it's hard to think. Try it.
It really is nice.
And it activates the thymus gland, and it activates bliss. It activates that stillness.
It's calming.
And calming, or 0 point. And when your thymus, when you're in conjunction to the energy center, the physical manifestation of your energy centers are your endocrine glands. So the physical manifestation of the heart energy center is the thymus. However, in close relationship is that heart, the heart muscle, which is actually another torus, which is actually not even what we've been describing in science, like superpower conductor. When that gets balanced, when you do that hand to heart exercise more often, you can quantum jump so quick, because what happens when this gets balanced and this gets balanced, your aura can spread out as throughout the longitudinal wave, they spread out across the plane. You get the heart torus gets much bigger then the energy around our brain, because everything essentially is creating a toroidal field, whether it's a cell, light particle, everything essentially is the same that we talk about our soul as a Taurus. Yeah.
I was going to give an example. Like yesterday, I was on my bike. I mean, at max speed, creating my own vortex.
Yes.
And I was going uphill, downhill. I was hitting corners, and it was like hitting me head on. It was raining early in the morning, so I was watching as the rain coming down.
Yes.
So, but I was creating that. When I
You
came to
were.
a complete stop, I was gathering it all back.
Yes.
It was all coming back to me.
And that's a good point. I'm so glad you're bringing it up, because that's what happens. The Taurus gains spin. So when you focus on your pineal gland, or you're focused on your bike ride, you literally are gathering, your charge is gathering spin, gathering momentum, gathering metabolism. It actually, you become the plasma. So if your plasma was way out in Timbuktu, all of a sudden you're like gathering it up, and you can make it rain. You are a rainmaker. We all are. And so we start becoming aware of our connection with all the elementals, which next month, April, we're doing element bending.
Oh.
So the first Friday will be earth bending, second Friday will be water bending, third will be fire bending, and fourth Friday will be air bending. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Here's to a magical day.